Did you know ASBN, America's Small Business Network, is now available on your TV? That's right, ASBN is now streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire Stick, and available for download in the App Store. Scan the QR code to download the ASBN app today. Thanks for joining us for another edition of The Small Business Show with Cheyenne Malone, exclusively on ASBN.com.
Hi everyone, I'm Cheyenne Malone. You're watching another edition of The Small Business Show exclusively on ASBN.com and now streaming on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. While we often focus on the tangible aspects of running a company like finances and products, we often also forget about the importance of the intangible aspects, like your mindset, for example. Today we explore the importance of a positive mindset in the world of entrepreneurship. Joining us now, we have Mario Lanzarotti. He's the founder of ZenPreneur, of the movement, executive coach, and keynote speaker. Welcome.
Diane, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on the show.
Thanks for joining us, Mario. So tell me what ZenPreneur and this ZenPreneur movement is all about.
That's a great question. And I came to this when I realized that so much of the entrepreneurial is about hustling and grinding. And both of those are an approach that come often with a sense of burnout, with a sense of stress, with a sense of making things harder than they have to be. So I looked at how can we as entrepreneurs still create great results and achieve the goals that we're looking for, even so faster than before, but do it from a place of inner peace. And that's why I looked at how can we combine making efficient and effective decisions while operating from our center, while operating from a place of inner peace. And that's how the ZenPreneur movement was born.
And in your experience, Mario, what are some of the common mindset challenges that entrepreneurs often face?
So it really depends on the level of entrepreneurship that you look at, but generally across the board, what you see is entrepreneurs deal with a lot of doubt. They deal with a lot of overwhelm, with mental fog. They deal with a sense of stuckness. They deal with a sense of really having low energy because they're forcing their energy always on taking more action instead of looking at what is the quality of the action that I'm taking.
Why is it so important for entrepreneurs to have a good, solid mindset?
Well, mindset really is the difference between success and failure. It's about recognizing opportunities and being able to capitalize on opportunities. It's about making quality decisions that lead to a high ROI, and it's really about being able to take action consistently and powerfully. It's not enough to show up at the meeting half-baked. You have to be there powerfully, confidently, courageously, because energy is really what sells your ideas. And then it's about resilience, because the entrepreneurial journey is faced with so many challenges, setbacks, failures. So how do you navigate that? How do you get yourself to stand up every single morning with high energy, a positive attitude? How do you develop that resilience? Is really based on your mindset. And ultimately, which I find is the most important part, it is the difference between enjoying the journey and really hating what you're doing and just getting yourself to an outcome that you may or may not achieve.
Curious. So many people leave corporate America, right, to go do their own thing, and they become entrepreneurs. Is the mindset of an entrepreneur much different than someone in corporate America?
100%. It's a difference of night and day, because the mindset of an entrepreneur is 100% based in self-responsibility. That means there is nobody telling you what you have to do, how you have to do, when you have to do it. So you are 100% reliant on yourself. In corporate America, you have structures and systems. You have people that have already walked the path before you. So you can rely upon that. As an entrepreneur, by default, you are a pioneer. You are sailing into the sea of uncertainty. So your mindset has to be one that you can rely upon every single moment, because if you don't, failure is guaranteed.
You still have to answer, though, to consumers and clients as an entrepreneur. So isn't that, in one way, an aspect of, being told what to do?
Well, to me, the way they look at that is a sense of mentorship and guidance. Okay. It's very important that you have people in your life that guide you, because there are many people that have already walked a similar path. But ultimately, your unique path is new. You've never done it before in your life. So it's smart to be consulted by partners, by coaches, by mentors. If you look back, All of the presidents have consultants. All of the kings and queens of history, they have consultants and people that tell them what a better way might be to go forward. But ultimately, you have to make that decision for yourself. And in a corporate world, oftentimes that decision has already been made for you.
What about entrepreneurs that have, self-doubt? You mentioned that, right? It can easily make you hate the process. What tips and advice do you have for those entrepreneurs?
So the number one tip I have is never argue with your own mind, because your mind will tell you all kinds of lies that are not really helpful. It will tell you you're not doing enough, you're doing too much, this is right, this is wrong. And so oftentimes the mind will create an idea that you're following that might lead you off the path of success. So the first rule that I have is never argue with your own mind. Instead, when you become aware that there's doubt in your mind, take a deep breath. Take a few deep breaths and come back to your center. That is what I find is the Zen way. And when you do that, you're in a more calm and collected state, which means your thoughts will also be more calm and collected. So that's number one. Number two is, and that's more of a long-term approach, is like self-doubt is often rooted because in the past you've had an experience of failure. So say the business deal didn't go through, say the client didn't pay, there was something that was painful to you. And oftentimes that sense of failure creates the doubt. So what you have to do is you have to find it, what happened in the past, and you have to forgive yourself for that. And when you forgive yourself, you allow yourself to detach from that past event so that essentially you now get to create a new path forward. So take deep breaths, forgive yourself for your past, and also have somebody that you can have an open conversation with. So many entrepreneurs are solopreneurs, and so they walk the path alone by themselves every single day, and they're mortified to even talk about self-doubt because they view it as a weakness. And so self-doubt is not a weakness. Self-doubt really is just a human trait. And when you share it with people that you trust, where you feel safe, you recognize, oh, I'm not the only one out here. There's also other people that doubt themselves. And so when that happens, emotionally, you feel more safe, you feel more connected. And that creates a sense of trust, which is really the antidote to self-doubt.
Where do you find other entrepreneurs that could be potential people you could lean on?
I mean, online is a vast network of entrepreneurs all over the world. I highly recommend that you join masterminds, that you join groups similar to yours. There are many meetups all over the country that you can go and find. But I would say it's really important also to look at your partner, right? Your love relationship. You want to align yourself with a person that has your best interest at heart. So because the entrepreneurial path is one of risk, is one of uncertainty. And so if you have a partner that's not on board with that, that's a problem. So you got to have a conversation. If you already have somebody in life, you got to get an agreement from that person, that the person is there to trust you, and that you can tell them, honey, I don't know if it's going to take a year, 2 years, or 3 years, but I need your trust. And so that I find is really important to establish because entrepreneurship is a long-term journey.
Trust and patience at that. Very much so. Curious too, can you give us any examples of an entrepreneur who was maybe in a dire situation, but he or she was able to utilize your strategy and tactics to pull themselves out of it?
Absolutely. So there are lots of them. I'll give you an example of one of my clients who used what I just shared with you. He was running an agency with another partner, and they've had quite a few problems. And he, because he was younger than his partner, was afraid to share his doubt. He was eating the doubt in his mind, and he was not talking about it. So what happened is, a tiny problem became a big problem, and that ended up in business failure. So he had to shut down the business. So I coached him after that to start up a new business, and right from the get-go, I set up a place into a system where he would have weekly conversations with the person about what was truly going on in terms of emotionally with him. And guess what? That created a new sense of trust. That created a new sense of dynamic in the partnership. And today, my client runs 3 7-figure agencies. And he has incredible relationships. And he keeps saying that the most important element in success on the entrepreneurial journey are relationships. And relationships, just like in your personal life, are created through trust and authenticity. and vulnerability, and that's the thing that many of us don't want to talk about. But when you build that into the get-go of what you're doing, you can create the kind of resilience in a partnership that will withstand any challenge. And as you and I know, the challenges will always come.
Well, that is quite an example. Mario Lanzarotti, thank you so much.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure.
I'll point out you are founder of the ZenPreneur movement, executive coach, and keynote speaker. Thank all of you for joining us and watching the Small Business Show exclusively right here on ASBN.com and now streaming on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of the Small Business Show with Cheyenne Malone, exclusively on ASBN.com.